Okay, so I wanted to show a video that is going to help you with the formatting of your paper. And so I'm going to kind of go back and forth between this example and the example from the OWL Purdue website and a student example to kind of show you what it needs to look like when you turn in your final version. So again, all of this is really helpful and you can kind of go through it one by one, but I just want to show you the basics. So notice to begin with that we have a last name and number at the top of every single one of the pages of this essay. And that's not something that you go in and type every single time. Instead, you go here to the header and you double click that. Do not click the different first page because you want it to be actually the same. So you're going to go to insert, page number, and then, this first option where it numbers on the upper right-hand side is what you need to do. And yet somehow it did it wrong. Let's try that one more time. Insert, page number. Actually, how about we click outside of the header? There we go. Insert, page number, upper right hand. There it is in the right place. And then you have to write your last name in front of the number, not behind the number, in front. And we're pretending that this is a student named Stu Dent. I know it's cheesy. So his last name is Dent, and I'm going to put a space there between the two. And then ta-da, Dent 1, Dent 2, and so on and so forth. So the number and the name should be there at the top. Next, we have our information. Basically, this is what you need at the top of every paper that you turn in, and it needs to be in this exact format to be MLA, although I will say it's okay if you don't have your middle name. So again, we'll have Stu Dent. The next thing that comes is the name of your teacher. So we'll change this to Miss Schaefer. The name of your class. So that might be ELA 9 or ELA 10 GATE. Remember, these are acronyms, so they should all be capitalized: English Language Arts, Gifted and Talented Education. And then the date needs to be in this same format. So you put the number, the month, and the year. And let's say the due date was the 15th. It's not, but let's say it was 15 September 2017. Okay, so that is our correct header. Everything's in the right order, but notice that this is double spaced, and so is the rest of this essay. So I need to make sure that I double space. So what I can do is I can use a right click. I'm sorry, not a right click, a control. So on the keyboard, click Control A, and that'll highlight everything. You could also literally go through and highlight everything, but that's kind of hard for me sometimes because my keyboard doesn't always, or my trackpad doesn't always work. So I just click Control A and it highlights everything. And then I'll either go here to line spacing, this little image of line spacing, or I can go to Format, Line Spacing. I usually just go here because it's easier. And then I'm going to change it from single to double. So I need everything to be double spaced. That includes your name up here, that includes the actual essay, and so on. So it's looking more and more correct. The next thing though is I need to put in the title. And your title should be something that is engaging to your reader, something that's going to make them want to read more. Something like Essay 1 or Story is not going to be very engaging to most readers. So this is a paper about the challenges of teen romantic relationships. So let's think. Maybe I'll put a title. I'll say The Problem with Love. Although I don't need to capitalize W because it's a short word. And if I wanted, I could put a colon there and explain more. So the challenges of teen relationships. I could have also just left it with The Problem with Love, but I want something that is going to be informative, but also is kind of interesting. So notice that I don't skip a line, an extra line. I just go from the title to the next line, and that's the first paragraph. Also notice that everything's the same size. So my paper here, if I want to change sizes, I can click Control A again. And your papers are probably automatically going to be an 11 because that's just the automatic size of Google Docs. So you have to make sure that you highlight it and change it to 12. And Times New Roman is the most basic MLA style format of text. But I don't mind if you use Arial or Cambria, those kind of very normal and legible looking fonts. But if you have any question, just when in doubt, go with Times New Roman because basically any English teacher or professor is going to be okay with Times New Roman for the most part. If you change this, also make sure that you change the header because look, that is actually still Arial. So I'm going to actually change it to Times New Roman so it matches the rest of my paper. And then it'll stay that way. I'm going to highlight this. Okay, for some reason it was being highlighted, but once I clicked on it, it kind of went away. I don't know, that doesn't usually happen, so my computer might just be being weird, but whenever you notice weird things like that, change them, make sure to fix them. And actually, now that I notice again, this was the wrong size. So I'm going to highlight it and change it to size 12. So everything is the same throughout my paper, standardized, and it matches. Okay, so like I said, we move right from our title to our paragraph, but the problem that I see with this one is that it is not lined up with the left-hand side of the page. Instead, it's lined up with the center. So I'm going to highlight all of my paragraphs. And it may not let me, so I'll do them a couple at a time, and I'm going to align them to the left. And I'll go down and get these. Align them over here to the left, and I could also click Control-Shift-L. And make sure that everything is aligned to Control-Shift-L, the left. Except, of course, the title. I don't want my title to be aligned to the left. That needs to be in the center. And then notice that now I don't have my indents. So I need to click at the beginning of each paragraph and click the Tab key on my keyboard just once. So it's not really that much of an indent. Don't use spaces, just click the Tab key, which is on the left-hand side. Again, I'll click Tab, and I'm actually going to get rid of this extra space. I shouldn't have that extra space. It should just go from one paragraph to the next, like my example. No extra space. And so here we go. Tab, and I'm going to get rid of that extra space, although you can't really tell because it's between two pages, but there was an extra space and now it's gone. Tab, get rid of my extra space. Tab, get rid of my extra space. And okay, I'm good. So far, this is looking correct. I have my last name, my page number, my information, my title, my paragraphs that are in the correct format. And as I go down here, I see this is the end of my essay. And because this essay has quotation, so I'm citing evidence. So this paragraph seems to be citing Romeo and Juliet. And this one is citing also Romeo and Juliet. And this one is citing an article. I am noticing that I need to have a works cited page because anytime I'm bringing in evidence from someplace else, I have to cite where I got it from. So if I scroll down to the end of this sample page, I can see their works cited page. And notice that I have a title here. It's on a separate page. It's not on the end of the other one. It's on a totally separate page and it's simply titled Works Cited. So I'm going to go down to the end and I'm going to click Insert Page Break. I could also click Control Enter. And I'm going to put it in the center and simply write Works Cited. So I've titled my page just the same. And then these are all cited in the MLA format. So I have a very cool tool that I've added on. It's a Chromebook extension called Cite This For Me. And so it's nice because I can just click on it when I'm on a website and make sure it's an MLA citation, and then it just cites it for me. So I would suggest adding that if you would like. You can just look up Cite This For Me, and it's an extension so you can add it to your Google Chrome. You could also go to websites like EasyBib. And these are helpful websites to help you put your citations in the correct format. MLA 8, the most recent version of MLA format, is what you'd want to work with. So here I'm going to EasyBib, and MLA 8, I can cite a website, a book, a video, a journal, a database, and other options. So let's say I had my copy of Romeo and Juliet. Obviously, there are many different versions of Romeo and Juliet, and so the nice thing about EasyBib is they generally have some of the most famous ones. And so let's say when this came up, I was looking and I noticed, oh, you know what? I do have the Pearson Education version of it. Then I would click Cite This. Now, obviously, if they don't have the one that I'm using, I have to add in more details. But if they have the one that I'm using, I can click on it and I can just double check that all the information is correct. Continue to the final step. And it does take a few minutes, but that's okay because it takes out a lot of the problem. Cite the whole book. Now this is where I could change authors if there were different authors. I could put advanced information if there was advanced information. If not, though, I can just click Create Citation. Again, I have to wait a few minutes, but that's okay. And now I can simply highlight my citation. And if it lets me, there we go. Highlight my citation. And I can copy it or just click Control-C, which is what I usually use. In my sample page, it looks like we move right from the title to the citation. So I'm going to click Enter. I'm going to make sure that I'm lined up on the left because this is left aligned. And then I'm going to paste Control-V. Notice that this kind of has a little bit of a background. So I'm going to highlight it, go to Highlight, click None. I also want it to be in the same font, so I have to change it to Times New Roman, and same size, size 12. And now it's in the correct format for me. And I need to go through and cite all of the works that I'm citing. So I don't have, this was a student from a couple years ago, I don't have a copy of this article, but if I did, I would have to add the citation. Now, sometimes EasyBib doesn't have what you're looking for. So you can also go to the OWL Purdue website, the same one where we got this handy dandy sample paper from. And they are really helpful because they have the basics of citations. Oh, I'm sorry, that's in-text citation. So that's what it looks like inside of the text. But I need Works Cited. Works Cited page, basic format. And this tells me the basic rules, especially about capitalization, author names, more than one author, no known author, and I can look at examples of books, periodicals, electronic sources, other common sources. So let's say I found this article online. I would go to the electronic sources. This gives me the information, and then it has some good examples. So let's say, I followed the directions. I would make sure that they fit that exact same style. So again, you can write it out yourself or you can use EasyBib. Either way, I have to cite all of my works cited. So actually, I'm just going to pretend like this was another one of my sources, and I'm going to copy it and paste it. And again, I have to change my font and size. And notice that it's hard to tell where your citation ends and begins if they're all aligned to the left. So in this example, see how it's not fully aligned to the left. It's actually only the first line that it's aligned to the left, and the rest is like a reverse indent. So I'm going to click that beginning of the first line. I'm going to click backspace and then enter and then tab. Backspace, enter, tab. And now I can tell the difference. And notice that these are actually in alphabetical order. So your works cited has to be in alphabetical order from A to Z. So S comes before T, so this is actually in the correct order. And now I have my paper. I'm assuming that you've already done the proofreading. I'm looking, just glancing through this one, and this has some errors, some big errors that stand out to me. So this is not a perfect or perfectly finished essay yet, but the format is correct. So it looks exactly as it should from the beginning to the end. And in terms of formatting of the overall paper, it's great. Now, in terms of formatting quotes, not so great. So for instance, here we don't have a citation, and looks like here we don't have a citation either. You guys are probably like, what is this essay about? It's all about teen relationships and Romeo and Juliet. But so this is not fully complete essay itself, but the overall formatting is correct. So again, this person would need to actually go back to the basics on in-text citation and make sure that they are citing the evidence correctly. So for instance, if I'm citing a quote from Romeo and Juliet, I have to make sure to put in the author's last name and the page number. Let's say the page was 57. I don't know what the page is, but I'm putting that in. Oh, and you know what? I've actually made a mistake because it's supposed to go at the end of our sentence. So I'm going to cut that, and I'm going to put it at the end of the sentence. And I'm also just, because I noticed it right now, I'm going to fix that comma. So again, don't think that this essay within the actual paragraphs is perfect, but the overall formatting is correct. So as you go through, use these same skills to make sure that your essay has all these elements so that it looks like the sample essay that we have here. And again, you can use the same steps that I used in order to align it with all of those expectations. So hopefully you found this helpful and you can use it for your own papers throughout the school year. You can watch this video as much as you need.